So I wanted to make a video today. It's Sunday, so this isn't a regular weekly video. I don't know. I wanted to make a video about something that happened last night that might be significant. I'm not sure. Um, so it's like a series of things. I went to this event where they had storytellers. It was like a storytelling event. It wasn't comedy. Some of the stories were funny. I don't know. I don't want to make this into like a fucking 30-minute video. I want to make it brief. So I'll get to the more significant part. So last night, I stayed up kind of late. So I went to that event and then I came home and I watched a documentary and then I decided, and actually the documentary was about yoga. And then I decided to, and I had some tea while I was watching it, whatever, to kind of relax and mellow out. And then I sat before bed. Every night before bed, I meditate for 23 minutes, which usually just means closing my eyes, breathing really slow, focusing on my breath, trying to relax and prepare to go to sleep. So last night I tried something a little different. You know, in the documentary, they were talking about this thing of like, reveal yourself. Or something like that, of like God, and it was like about focusing on your spine. So I'd had some people talk about focusing on your root, like the bottom, the base of your spine, but this kind of talked about just your whole spine. And I used to have like this real big thing about the spine being like the soul, because it's basically an antenna. If you looked at it like an engineering diagram, your heart is like a battery, and the spine being a place where electrons are flying up and down, kind of works as an antenna, which can transmit and receive signals, which has some kind of spiritual significance. So anyway, so I was sitting there and I felt like, it was for the first time, like I feel like a lot of this Kundalini, a lot of this stuff focuses on like your spine. So I felt like I felt something through my spine. I felt something different than I normally would feel. Not crazy or not extreme, but like it was different, right? It was cool. My my latest yoga teacher kind of got in this thing of like, if you're feeling amazing and everything, like you feel blissed out, she's like, you know, don't be distracted by it. Keep going forward. Like you're looking for truth. Feeling blissed out is kind of the mirror image of feeling depressed. The depression isn't necessarily real. It's kind of something that's sort of made up and not super real. Don't bask in the glory of bliss. Also acknowledge that that's not necessarily real. So I tried not to get distracted and like keep going deeper. Like reveal thyself is kind of like show me the truth. Show me what's true. You know, this idea that God is within your spinal cord almost. And like you're like, instead of looking out or looking up or whatever, you're kind of trying to sense this energy and like actually like a tingling, like electrical-ish sensation, slightly like a pins and needles or goosebumps, like a slight kind of sensation. So anyway, so I felt something. And that was kind of cool. Not super remarkable, but cool. So I decided to go to bed, and I'd mentioned to someone like I've probably mentioned in these videos that my sleep is kind of fucked up. Like staying up late and sleeping in the morning. I wish that I could just like go to bed when the sun goes down and wake up when the sun comes up, but I just like can't put myself on that schedule. I know it'd be healthier, or I'm pretty sure. Like I know, but I just can't like seem to do it. I like to stay up later. I don't know why, and I don't have any like necessarily good like firm reason I got to get up in the morning. I create my own hours, so like it's okay for me to stay up later and sleep in more. Like I still get shit done, though I'm always hard on myself about sleeping in. And I think in general people need to get more sleep, and we're kind of groomed to think that if we get 9 hours of sleep there's something wrong with us. We're lazy or depressed or something. So anyway, so I went to sleep. Now it was like, at this point it was like 1 a.m. So I did that meditation, and I remember like my teacher saying that like if you're doing a relaxation type of meditation, that's fine to go to bed. She goes, but the real like truth that you're seeking is not relaxing, it's energizing. So to do it before bed or is not, like if you're doing like real deep truth-seeking meditation, doing it before bed might not be a great idea. Like, I guess Kundalini yoga, you're supposed to do it at like 4 a.m, not at night, so because it's energizing. So I was like, okay. So I decided I'm going to go lay down and go to sleep. I never sleep on my back. I always sleep on my side or my stomach or whatever. I've never been able to sleep on my back. The only time I could sleep on my back is if I like wake up in the middle of the night at like 5 a.m. to go pee and I come back, then I could sleep on my back. So I was like thinking about like, I decided I was like, I was just laying there actually, just naturally relaxing on my back. And thinking about like sleep and like what it was like right now. And I was like, oh, like this feels really nice. I was like, what if I just stayed like this all night and kind of did like the relaxation kind of meditation, like just breathe, focus on my breath and kind of zoned out, my heart rate drop. And I'm like, what if I'm like conscious all night long, but I'm in the most mellow, relaxed state possible? So I didn't actually drift off into what I consider sleep. What if I'm awake all night, but in the most relaxed, whatever? I'm like, I wonder, come tomorrow morning, would I feel like energized and healthy and ready? Like after this pseudo sleep of like just comatose meditation? Whereas when I actually sleep, I don't feel like great in the morning. I'm kind of depressed and I'm like, like maybe, and like it doesn't seem like sleeping on your side or crunched up is like breathe. It doesn't seem like it's a healthy thing. So I was like, I'll just lay here on my back. And I was like, what if I just keep going and going? Maybe I'll be able to fall asleep like this. And now it's Sunday. I didn't have anything particular to get up for. So I thought, okay, if I do that tomorrow, and let's say I lay here for hours and I don't get much sleep, I can sleep in the morning. Like I'll be able to make up for it the next day. Like I could do it for one night. So I was like, okay, I'll do this, And I remember saying to somebody, like I've seen studies that say that they take some depressed people and they take them to hospitals, they keep them up all night and it like helps their depression. Then again, not sleeping all night is also like a kick in for mania. So like generally, like when I've had manic episodes, I've like done a lot of like not sleeping. So staying up all night is not necessarily prescribed, but apparently they do it in hospitals in a clinical setting to help people. I've also read a lot of things about how like forcing people up earlier in the morning, like a few hours early, couple hours early, helps to fight depression. Yet I can't like necessarily see myself doing it to myself. So anyways, I had this idea. I was like, what if I just stay up all night? And I even said to a friend last night, I was like, oh, like, it's like if I ever want to dive deep into the rabbit hole, like I know all I gotta do is just stay up all night for a few nights in a row and I'll be in there. So I kind of was like, all right, like I'll stay up all night. I'll stay up. But I'll do this sleep thing. Like I'll just do this. I'll lay here. And I was like mellow. I felt relaxed. It felt good. I felt nice. But I was still hoping I'd fall asleep. Like I didn't really want to lay there up all night because I'd be bored, I guess, or I wouldn't know what to do. And I didn't know if it was healthy to stay up all night. But maybe like that's good sleep. Like maybe I'm wrong about what sleep's all about. Like maybe that is actually the way it's supposed to be. Like I remember hearing a yogi talk about, like one of these guru guys, about how he hasn't dreamt in years, and that dreams are an indication that you've got some problems and you're fighting with something and you're not getting good sleep if you're dreaming, even if it's a good dream. And maybe that's the way to do it, is to just lay there like, but conscious and awake, but super like. So I thought that was a thing. So I was like laying there. I don't know how long. And finally I was like, I should check with my doctor before I pull this move. Like I think it's something I could pass. I should talk to her about before I just decide to go all night without sleeping. Because what happens if I stay up all night doing that thing and feels good, and then I decide I'm going to do it again and again. And I'm going to see the doctor on Wednesday. So it's like, all right, like I'll hold off. So I pulled back and like tried to do regular sleep. And all of a sudden I could not sleep. I was tossing, turning. I don't think I fucking slept at all last night. Tossing, turning, and I was like, oh shit, that tea that I had must have had caffeine. And it just made sense. Like the way I wasn't like, I just couldn't sleep, and I got some new tea, and I didn't remember what kind of tea. I just remembered that I got in some tea. I was like, fuck, like I wonder if it's caffeinated. Like I never get caffeinated tea. I always get decaf. I was like, fuck, I just had a fucking cup. What was I doing? I just had a cup of caffeinated tea at midnight to mellow out. Like I'm going to be wired all night. So I tossed and turned, and I was convinced it was because I had this caffeinated tea, and there was nothing I could do about it. Meanwhile, my parents' dog starts barking in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh shit, like, what's he got? So I was like, oh, worried about him. So like, I let him. I kind of went out there a couple times, and he was barking. There's like these wild dogs in the woods, and so I let him like sleep on the floor. That dude kept farting all night, so I kept waking up to this fucking smell of shit. But I wasn't like waking up. I was just, and I don't know. I just don't feel like I slept at all last night. And I went from being so mellow and peace and kind of laying there in this, oh, I'll just lay like this all night. It's great. And then saying, ooh, I'm scared. I shouldn't do that. That's not a good idea. I'll get regular sleep. And then I couldn't get regular sleep at all. And then I was convinced that I had caffeinated drink. And this morning I went and checked. No caffeine in it. It's just mango ginger tea. No caffeine. So there's no reason that I shouldn't have slept last night. It just came in. And I felt like shit this morning. Like I felt sick when I woke up. Or I shouldn't say woke up. When I got out of bed, I was like, oh my God, like, can I please like close my eyes and go to bed and get some sleep and wake up and feel good? And I just never did. And so finally I was just like, fuck it. And I got out of bed. So I say all that to say now I feel pretty good. You know, like I feel crisp. Not crisp. I feel a little something. Manic, whatever. Like mind's racing. Not feeling depressed. Feel positive, energized. Not like 100% crisp. Something feels off up here. But so I wonder, like, you know, was it like some kind of awakening that they talk about? These like awakenings that happen and it's energizing. Is it all that? Is it just whatever? Like what would explain me being so mellow and relaxed and whatever, and then say, oh, I should get regular sleep, and then just roll over on my side and like suddenly like all night not sleeping. I don't know. Maybe it's insignificant and it's a stupid thing to make this video, but it feels like something. And I don't know what like this whole video series is. It's weird. Like I've made over 50 of these videos. I haven't published any of them. Am I going to publish them? Like part of the storytelling thing, like they have like there's a chance, you know, I went to the storyteller thing last night and there was stuff like one of the women told a story about a guy that she dated in high school, and then this woman was probably like 30, and like she told this story about being young and dating this guy who was exciting and all this stuff and passion in his eyes and like exciting and funny and charismatic and doing crazy shit. And then her story turned into how like the guy ended up mentally ill and fucked up, and he's like a mess and hasn't been able to enjoy the wonderful things she's had, like marriage and a home and fucking children and picket fences. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, why are you telling everyone in this room about this other guy's problem? Like, I was just thinking about my own life like that. And then so I was like, one of the dudes did a story and it was funny, and I was like, oh, like I could do storytelling. Like I wrote my story of my first time having an episode, my first hospitalization. Like I wrote the story, but I usually think of doing comedies. And like they have like a thing where they let people, I guess, come and tell stories at their. So I thought about doing it. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm at a loss. I'll just stop it. It's 14 minutes in. That's enough.